Hello, everyone. I am so happy to welcome today Amanda Rose from Prestige Connections. It's so exciting to have you here to talk about your matchmaking services and just your singles events. And I'm just really excited to have you and to learn more about what you do. So thanks for taking the time and happy Women's Day also.
Yay! Yeah, perfect day to have this. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited about this
Of
podcast.
course, of course. Yeah, so just to start us off, I'd love to hear a little bit more about how you got into matchmaking. Obviously it's not something that you kind of get a college degree
Mhm.
in yet, although it's a growing field, and maybe a little bit about where your focus is today in the matchmaking world.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have been in the matchmaking world since 2012, so a long time now. I started the business, or I started in the matchmaking agency or industry back when I was a stay-at-home mom, and I had suspicions my well, now ex-husband, my husband at the time, was dating online. So I went searching for his profile, and I did find it, hence the divorce. But while I was searching for his profile, I thought, man, these guys need help. Like, they did not look dateable. I was like, how are they even getting dates? And I thought somebody should have a business that helps them look dateable and date successfully. And that was just like a little thought that crossed my mind. And, I found my husband's profile. We ended up getting a divorce. And I thought, from going from a stay at home mom to a single mom pretty much overnight, I thought there's something I need to do to, for my children. I knew I had two decisions: to either let this divorce destroy me, or I could, rise up and create, a life for my children. So I chose to take that little idea. I thought it was a divine idea to, and and I started a company called The Dating Stylist, and we made over online profiles and helped people look dateable and, have that. You only have 7 seconds to make a good impression online. So I helped people make their best impression during that 7 seconds of dating online. And from there, I was offered a job with an international matchmaking agency, and I did not like their process. I thought it wasn't personalized enough. So I branched off on my own and created my own matchmaking agency, and here we are. So that's how I got started in the matchmaking world. And I went back to school to learn, study intimate communication, and I just really dig deep into how healthy relationships, flourish. So that's that's where I started.
That's so incredible. And I also should mention that you were named the top matchmaker in the
Mhm.
world in 2025. I mean, it's really come so far. I mean, what an extraordinary story. I had no idea any of that. And I mean, one of the things it brings up for me, I mean, seem to have such good humor and good attitude about something that was truly horrific to happen to someone, especially, as a stay-at-home mom and all of the kind of economic insecurity, something like that, and just a massive betrayal of someone who you loved and cared enough and trusted enough to have children with. I mean, whoa.
Yeah.
That's and I also love that you just have such a generous spirit in that, you found the person that you trusted doing something bad, and then you decided to help other men to do something good on the same platform. Wow. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, really sorry that happened to you. I mean, although you seem
It's
to
okay.
really I do.
It
It
was meant to be.
was meant to be. But it does, first of all, it does bring up for me, I was recently kind of interested in someone. I don't know if I'm ever going to date that person. And I was thinking, wow, I would never date this guy online. Like, if I saw his picture, I'm sure this guy, I've seen his Instagram. This guy does not know how to take photos. He does not know how to present himself. He looks old, but when I met him in person, he was just so compelling to me. Um, and even I kind of I signed up for a bunch of free databases in the matchmaking world, and I got a couple matches, and just looking at the photo, it just felt so dead. It's just so hard to feel a connection with the photo, and it feels scary, to date someone you don't see any kind of life behind them. So I really appreciate the service that you're doing and kind of trying to bring life to something that's essentially two-dimensional
Yes.
dating.
Yeah, absolutely. And I see that so often, singles, and they'll skip over someone because of the profile pictures, or you don't get a glimpse into their personality they don't know how to shine online, which I think that's pretty natural. A lot of us don't know how to shine online.
Yeah,
But and I see, people even when I send profiles to clients, matchmaking clients, and they might pass over that person. Like, no, 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 you have to meet them. Like when you meet someone in person, the chemistry is different, the energy is different, and you should at least give them a chance because a lot of people just don't, especially men. They're not out here like taking good selfies, and or professional photos, getting their hair done, or picking out the best clothes. Some of them are, but most of them are not. So you have to give people a chance.
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I'm also kind of curious just in terms of your reflections, having met someone who was not trustworthy and didn't care for you. Like, how has that impacted your whole philosophy on finding love and how to go about meeting a partner? Or, what would advice for someone give someone to me and trying to, of course you never know, but like, how do you find someone you feel like you could trust?
Right. Oh, that's such a good question because I think, I've heard that your greatest assignment in life is usually the place where you have the hardest, area that you have to develop. And I think mine has been relationships just from back from like my childhood. And it has been a learning and growing experience for me to learn how to trust again over and over because yes, that betrayal is so deep when you trust someone and you give their life, you commit your life to them and then they destroy that trust. And I think we have to know that it's not always about us. If someone that's hurting will hurt other people. So it's important for us to be healthy on the inside and then do the things that we love to do. Enjoy, make sure we have a good support system, good friends, good people around us, and we're doing the things that bring us joy and love. No matter what someone chooses to do to us, we can still rise above that and create the life that we want to live. So when we go into trying to find a relationship, I think we have to know these people are human. They could hurt us. They absolutely could. And
Yeah.
that's scary. So scary. But we have to remember that we're human too. And the experience of loving someone, of meeting someone new, and just putting ourselves out there is part of the human experience. And we're not going to find love unless we do that. So we have to open our hearts. We have to go through the healing process to get to the place to let someone in again. And it might not be our person, they might hurt us, but what are we going to do with that? Are we going to sit and dwell in that pain? Or are we going to rise up and go meet someone else and keep an optimistic, positive outlook on possibly finding love again? I think it's just all about your mindset. Does that answer your question? I kind of went on a tangent.
I mean, like, I love how you framed it because it really gets to the heart of why I started this show,
Mm,
which is I feel that for me, that is my Achilles heel, right? Or I call it my red thread of desire, the thing that I'm pulled towards that is just feels like there's just so much missed up in it, and I've gone through a couple periods of my life where I felt like, all right, let's get back on the dating bandwagon. And before I started this podcast, like 2 months ago, I felt like, okay, I'm good. I'm happy. I'm in a great place in my life. But there's this kind of tiny little voice inside of me that's saying, I really would love, relationships and closeness. And so, it's just gotten like more and more challenging I feel like right now it's the most intense period where I've made these new friendships and I'm having so much anxiety about like rejection. Like I'm just all of these stories in my head and memories and like any dater, I'm using ChatGPT for therapy and it's like, what are you, who knows if it's accurate or not, but I have this whole, I'm setting up all these ideas in my head about this kind of like a mass, like people shunning me and all this stuff. Anyway, but I think that it is better to go into it because how else are you going to heal those?
right. Yeah, that is so hard. And I hear that so often. And that's something I've struggled with too, is like the fear of rejection and the fear of putting yourself back out there again and getting hurt again. And I think it's a normal, human experience that we don't want to be rejected, but it is about mindset and how we can reframe those thoughts that come into our head, those limiting beliefs, and how we can replace them with something healthy that helps us, become the best version of ourselves and live the best life that we want to live. So our best life should not be determined by how someone treats us or who comes in and out of our life. we should design that ourselves and know, okay, this is how I want to live. And if this person can rise up to that, and if they don't and they reject me, then they weren't worth it anyway. Let them go.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's so wise. So, what are some tools that you've used to change your mindset? I know this is going in kind of a different direction than matchmaking, but it's really present for me. I mean, like there's hypnosis, there's psychotherapy, there's manifesting. Is there anything that you've found personally helpful or that you recommend to your clients?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I love this direction because I think it's like the foundation of matchmaking. You have to have the right mindset to find the one. The thing that I have done, I am a very spiritual person, faith and prayer, um, and just repeating. Like I'm a Christian, so I like to repeat Bible verses that speak about who I am as a person. So I know, okay, this is the truth. If some guy would say something else about me, or some person says something else about me, I know this is the absolute truth. So I repeat those. I have on my phone like tons of reminders that pop up all throughout the day of different like declarations and Bible verses and just things that I need to declare over my life so that I'm reminded this is who I am. I'm not going to let someone choose who I am for me. And that is really, I think, has been the key of changing my mindset and making it stronger. And yeah, and not
So
worrying
beautiful.
about rejection.
That's really yeah, I mean, I think also you remind me how much, like, the church is built, like, to support marriage and family, and, I mean, I don't go to church a lot or ever, but I think that, like, it's a good reminder of how supportive that can be, because if you're caught up in your head just feeling like, "Am I a bad person?" Does, like did I say something wrong and now I'm gonna get rejected? Or, like, and then you think, like, okay, wait, I'm a child of God and God made me. And so I'm perfect. And like, and you can pray and like ask for healing and not make that other person your God. And just, if that
Yes.
person is deciding that for whatever they're going through, they don't want closeness with you right now, you can just like take refuge in, that you are being you are loved, you are cared for, you
Yeah.
are made perfectly. Yeah.
Yeah, that was so good. I love that you said that, not making that other person your God. And I see that in singles, like they make dating and finding a husband an idol instead of growing within themselves and making, again, creating the best life within themselves and not relying on someone else to do that for them. So it's important not to make dating or finding a husband an idol because I think it messes with the energy of finding someone that's right for you too. So you wanna just live your life, to the fullest, and then that person will automatically come in.
Yeah, it's beautiful, and I think there's also something there to, like, if you're, like, insulting yourself and you're so hard on yourself, you're also kind of insulting God. Like, I don't talk about this a lot on
Yeah,
the show, but, like, okay, God made you, so if you're saying, like, "I'm bad, I made a mistake," it's wow. So,
yeah.
what are some of the Bible verses you like use in these moments of
Oh gosh, I am so bad about quoting Bible verses.
we could look them up.
I know. I'm gonna just, like, go off the top of my head of what I do know. Like, one that I have on my phone right now is about, it's probably already popped up on my reminders. Yeah, here it is. So I'll just it's there for 10 AM. It says, "I have unfading beauty of a gentle and quiet spirit." So that was just to because I had a really bad experience with someone not too long ago that was, like, criticizing my looks, and I was like, "But that's not me. I don't
Social
feel"
media.
oh, no, somebody I knew. Yeah. I mean, I still have the crazies, sometimes, but I was just like, "I'm gonna remind myself because those are things they were pointing out things that I was self-conscious about too, because we all as women, we have our things, that we
Have our thing.
yeah, we
Stunning, by
do.
the way. I need to put that in.
Oh, thank you.
You.
But yeah, so I just put the verse in my reminders as I have unfading beauty of a gentle and quiet spirit. And that's from First Peter 3, verses 3 through 4. And it's just a reminder that I have the beauty. God gave me the beauty. It doesn't matter if I have a flaw, that's how I was uniquely made. So I love that one. And I'm trying to think, I'm just looking at my reminders. And, like, I put in there, like, the thief's purpose is to steal, kill, and destroy. My purpose is to give God's purpose is to give a rich and satisfying life. So if something negative happens, I know. this is just a distraction. God's purpose is bigger. So even if it's like relationships or business or just life things, I know there's a greater purpose. So I put those are some of my favorites. I'm trying to think. I'm just looking. I have so many
They're so
reminders.
beautiful. That's great. Just put them right on your phone. You need that, Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like
so there's just
great.
so
I
many
don't
good
know what
ones.
people are either gonna be thinking about this episode, but I don't really care because our last episode was someone from India talking about manifesting. But I think that like that's something I've also been forgetting about is just prayer. Prayer is so
Yeah.
powerful and it's kind of an act of humility. Like I was going through this thing and the situation feels just all too familiar. So I've started a couple tech companies and I've had gone through maybe 5 co-founders, all men, every single one of them just like one day after 6 months was like, I'm done. And I've also had this experience with advisors of like male advisors who pay like all this extra special attention to me and like put their light on me. And then all of a sudden it's like, bye, who knows why. And so I was just kind of feeling like, how can I do things differently this time? Like, I don't know how to psychoanalyze myself or just tell my nervous system to stop going around this theory or just, wait for that text message where you're like, oh, phew, I was just imagining it instead, and I think, okay, like this is the answer. You're giving me the answer right here, Amanda, which is just like pray about it, say, okay, I don't know. I surrender. I can't. Just help me make this time a growth time, please. I give up.
Yeah, that's
Please
so
help
good.
me.
I've been there a lot lately too. I'm just like, I don't know what else to do. Send me the help that I need. Sometimes that's all we can do is just surrender it. And sometimes that's when things line up. Like, because we're so used to like controlling situations and making sure I am anyway, like making sure that, my business does this, this, and this, or, things line up a certain way. And when it doesn't go the way I planned, it gets frustrating. But maybe it's just the right person. Is not lined up with you yet. I believe the right person is like on his way to help you. You're just weeding out all the bad way.
Reading of the Bible, exactly, and I think that, like, my aunt is actually my godmother as well. I got baptized when I was 18, and my aunt said something that always stuck with me, which is that God will never give you more than you can handle, and
Yeah.
I just it has and I don't know what anyone else's experience is because there's so much extreme poverty and children who are
Mhm.
suffering, so I can't speak for anyone else, but I know that that has been so true for me. Like, most of my adult life, I've been single, like, and it's been really hard and sad and whatever, all the stuff. And I don't have a dad, and sometimes it just, all the things. But right before the pandemic, I met my first long term boyfriend, and we lived together for the entire pandemic. And I felt like that was a moment where God was like, okay, like she's not gonna be okay alone in the pandemic. I felt like I needed that partner during the pandemic. And then afterwards, we broke up. But I felt like that was a moment where it was like, this girl's not gonna be okay alone during the pandemic, so I just was brought that support, which was really
Yeah,
good.
absolutely. I think that is so true, and I think there's a lot of days where I'm like, okay, I cannot handle one more thing, I just can't do it. But then it's just like something happens where there's a reminder, like, yeah, you can, like, you can handle this. And my friend sent me. I was having a really rough day a few weeks ago, and my friend from church sent me a message, and she was like, God designed you for such a time as this, just like the book of Esther. And she just sent me this reminder, like, he designed you for this time to make a difference in the lives of, there's some things going on with some people in their lives. And I was like, oh, I needed that reminder because I felt like I just want to like give up. But it's so true. I think it's just how we grow and how we are strengthened. And we don't want to do it all the time,
Yeah,
but we can. Yeah. And we
and
can
that's
help other people like your podcast. You're helping other people.
I hope so,
Yeah,
I hope so,
I'm
yeah, I mean,
sure.
it's definitely created, like, a critical turning point where I'm like, "Whoa."
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. But so I guess I'm curious, I've talked to a lot of people in matchmaking, and I hear that it's really difficult to match women. Like, men are a lot easier to match than women, and I was wondering what your thoughts were and what is that? And why? Like, why do people do dating coaching for women and matchmaking for men?
Yes, that is 100% true. I went a while where I stopped taking women on as matchmaking clients, and I picked them back up a couple of years ago because I really wanna help them. It is with women, I think here's what I see as a matchmaker. See, there's a lot of unrealistic expectations, such as they won't even look at a man if he's not like 6 foot, or they won't even look at a man if he's just like a few years out of their age range, or if I mean, there's all kinds of different things. And I'm like, that's not what creates a long term relationship. And it's hard and I think it's because women, we have been hurt. I think we do take like the rejection and the heartbreak and the betrayal a lot harder sometimes. Um, and then we want like this unicorn man to show up, which he doesn't exist. We have to. Oh gosh, I'm just sorry. I just kicked my ring light. So that is why I think women are harder. It's because I have found with my clients that they reject more matches than they just give a chance to, and that makes it really hard because I have seen like the most perfect couple, on paper and who we screen. And I send, her the match and I'm like, oh my gosh, you have to meet this guy, and she like finds some silly reason to reject him. And I'm just like, this could have been your one. This could have been the guy. And something else I see too is, they focus on the pictures instead of meeting someone and just in person. Guys, my male clients, anybody I send them, usually they'll meet. Like they're like, yeah, I'll meet her. We'll see what happens. They want the in-person connection to see where it goes. But women are like, nope, they won't even give the guy a chance.
It's so funny because I feel like we think about men as much more superficial and looks oriented. What about kind of when you're moving men along the process? I've learned a lot of matchmaking is kind of supporting those. You do a first date and then someone's like, oh, I don't know about a second date. You don't have that with the dating app. What are ways like, especially with the male side where you feel like you have to kind of nudge people for the second date, or is that a thing?
Yeah, absolutely. I tell everybody they should at least go on 2 dates because you don't see someone's true self 100% on a first date. They're nervous, they're not really showing you who they are like they would with their best friend. So you need to give it at least another try just to see if anything changes, if they open up more. Because I've had a lot of people say like, well, they weren't very engaging, they didn't talk that much. I'm like, well, because they were probably nervous. So you need to give them a second chance. And, I just put that out there. Sometimes people are like, "No, I'm not gonna give them a second chance." But I kind of push it with my clients to at least go on a few more dates to see where it goes.
I love that. What about just, if you're not working with a matchmaker, if you're trying to date on your own, how can you evaluate how you're being on the dates? Like, because you're not there. It's not like you have I mean, I have friends who are like, I'll go watch, like I even thought about recording some of my dates, and I mean, I feel like I'm not the best or the worst dater. I know enough, like, I'm showing up as authentic as I can. I'm trying to add in like a little something flirty so they know it's not a business meeting. I mean, I feel like I dress nicely. I get asked out on a lot of second dates and then tends to kind of peter out after fourth date. But I think I realized that's like kind of an about like what kind of pool I'm dipping into. Like
Mhm,
Tinder, not the best.
mhm.
So, I don't know, like, what are some tools you can use to evaluate your date performance?
Oh, that's a good question.
Or
Oh
maybe
my
ask
god.
a different question than that.
Yeah, no, that's good. I had some of the best advice given to me years ago. I was about to be on national TV in a live audience. I was so nervous because I hate public speaking, and a TV coach told me that I need to go on stage and talk to the host like it's my best friend and ignore all the noise, all the other noise around me. So I kept that in my mind as I'm, walking up there, and I'm just talking to him like he's my best friend, and it just felt relaxed and I felt myself and, I didn't even notice the audience. But I think that's how you should approach a date too, to, make sure you're presenting yourself as your best self. You're gonna go in. Don't put the pressure on, like, this could be my future husband. This might be the one, which it could, but you should go in like, "Okay, I'm just gonna go in like I'm talking to my best friend, no pressure, drown out the noise, and just have a good time." And I think that is where like the magic happens, the connections are made because you're showing your true self and you're letting the pressure drop. Because I think people can feel pressure, like especially on first dates, you feel the nerves, you feel the pressure. And when you let that go and you're just relaxed and you're in a really good space, I think men are really attracted to that. And because it
Mhm.
shows like you glow more too, and it attracts people to you.
Yeah. What do you think about friendships between men and women? Because I was kind of feeling like I'm just so done with these dating apps. I should try to make some more friends with men. And then I'm
Yeah,
like, is this even possible? Like, and then I
yeah,
started making friends with like some men who are married, but just like to expand my social circle. And then it just like felt weird. Like, I don't know if I was this person's wife, if I would really dig this friendship. But
yeah.
like, I don't know. Like, I used to not even really believe that men and women could be just friends, but I don't know.
I think singles can be friends, but yeah, like if someone's married, I would not try to like pursue a friendship with the opposite sex just because, yeah, I just don't believe in that. But I would definitely pursue, like, hang out with guys because you never know like who their friends are. They could introduce you to someone that is perfect for you. So, and it expands your social circle too. And guys are just fun to hang out with. Like I used to have a lot of guy friends and we would go out and, they're just very calm, usually most of them. And then, and they're just like great to hang out with. And I think putting yourself around men that do the same things that your future, like your ideal future partner would do. So that way you're in these circles and you're going to places that he could possibly be. So you're kind of like you're having fun, you're going out with your guy friends. They might know someone to introduce you to, but you also might meet him in this place. So I wouldn't like go out with guys that are, let's say, if like you don't want to meet your future man at a bar. I'd never recommend that. But maybe like I don't know, like a networking group or something. I think those are great to meet people or charity functions and go with the guys and see who's there.
I love that. I think, yeah, that was kind of the next segue I was going to go into because I've been doing a lot of thinking around what's my ideal partner, and then how can I cultivate those qualities in myself? And then that's also led me to differences between me and my ideal partner, that might be worth exploring. Like, I kind of started to feel like, wow, it'd be really cool to have someone entrepreneurial. And then someone was like, oh, two entrepreneurs are not a good fit. And then I was like, no, actually, I think they're wrong. I think I would like someone entrepreneurial. And then I started this entrepreneur networking group where I met all these married men. But no, but then I was like, actually, at one point, I was like, yeah, I think I want a guy who's physically fit. So I went to CrossFit. It wasn't a real CrossFit studio. It was kind of a cheap CrossFit studio, and then the teacher pushed me and I fell back and sprained my neck, and I've been dealing with that for the last 2 months. So I digress.
Horrible.
It's a theme on this podcast. But yeah, and then I got like physical therapy, and there's like, I don't know. Is my husband at pickleball? I don't know. Church seems good, but I like charity functions. Okay, I'm completely just talking about nothing now. So I guess my question is kind of that again. Okay, so I love the concrete ideas, charity, business networking. What about when you're trying to get specific about your complement with an E? Like I'm this peanut butter and he's jelly or something like that. How do you find out who's the jam to your peanut butter?
Yeah, you you find that out
I
in
should do a
time.
jam. I mean, like the peanut butter to my jam. I feel like jam is more.
Yeah. Well, you just find out in time, but yeah, putting yourself in those places. I think you're doing the right thing. I love it. You're going to CrossFit. You're going to, you started the networking group. Finding, and I think too, entrepreneurs are great. Like that, I think that the mindsets are the same, and I think that's a great potential match. Um, but anyway, so yeah, just I think that you find out if he is your jam to like over
Peanut butter.
time, just getting to know him and asking some of the hard questions, looking at his actions. Don't just look at, listen to his words. That is like a number one mistake. But what does he do? Like he's at the charity event, but is he actually like does he actually have a giving heart? Which they usually do if they take the time to go to a charity event. But what does he do with his actions? So that's how I love to see if he would be aligned with you. He's not just a bunch of just doesn't talk a bunch. But what does he do to align with you to make him your person, your jam?
Yeah, and sorry, not to kind of rag on men, but I feel like any woman at a charity function is going to be like really into giving charity. But with men,
Hmm.
it can get so confusing, especially in the tech world. I mean, there's all these startup bros that are out there saying they're changing the world, and really they only care about themselves. And
Yeah.
so it can be a little bit hazy in terms of who's actually a giver. But
It
yeah,
is.
I like that, like, cause I mean, but it's so obvious even cause we're relaxed, we're talking as friends, it's so obvious that from the first minute of our call, I'm like, "Wow, this person, her husband betrayed her, and she went on a dating app and decided to help men." Like, this is a person with a giving heart. This is, like, your orientation towards service. Like,
I've
it's
never thought about it like that, but yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
and that's a good way to be in life. It helps you
Hmm.
take your mind off your own problems when you're giving to
Yeah,
others. But I
absolutely.
think I say it to illustrate it's not hard to see. I learned that about you in the first 20 seconds.
Oh, thank you.
So I'm someone who really has difficulty dating multiple people at the same
Mm.
time. I'm passionate, and when my light shines on, like, when I decide I like a guy, it's like my spotlight is on him, and it just feels so forced to be dating other people. But at the same time, some of these men I've shown my spotlight on, in retrospect, it's like, no, when the hormones are, it's just, what was I thinking? We've all been there, ladies.
Yeah, yes, many times.
What if? So, yeah, what's the question there, Amanda? Like, is there a prayer for dating multiple people? Is it okay to only do one at a time?
I think it's your personal preference. I'm not a big fan of casual dating because you can't really focus, like you were saying, like you can't focus on someone and really get to know them. I used to say, yeah, you should keep dating until someone pledges they want to be exclusive or whatever, which there is some truth to that, but I find it hard to really get to know someone, have that authentic connection, and I would probably give them a time limit. Like, if they're and let them know, if they're not going to, I wouldn't just keep dating them if they weren't gonna be exclusive. I would not just give them my time and energy. I would keep the door open, but I would not probably go on a bunch of dates just to make sure that I had the right energy to this other person that I was very interested in and getting to know. I think if you're very interested in someone and you want to get to know them, you should give them that time and that energy to figure out if they're worth more time and energy. I hope that I was kind of going all over the place with that, but I
Yes.
agree with you. I'm just not a fan of casual dating. I think it's a
Mm,
distraction.
it is distracting. And I think that also, I mean, of course, we're human and we have desires and hopes, but I think that's it does come back to the prayer thing. Like, how do obsessive mind and all this stuff. And in fact,
Uh,
my ex, was an alcoholic, and so I ended up going to a lot of Al-Anon meetings, and there was a time where I just couldn't stop thinking about him, and I was just trying so hard to not think about him all the time after we had broken up, and one of the men in Al-Anon said, like, "Obsessive mind is not something you have control over, so you need to
yeah.
turn that over to a higher power." Like, obsessive mind is a higher power than you, so you need to turn it over to an even higher power. And
Mm,
that really unlocked something powerful for me.
that is good. Yeah, I like that. I'm gonna remind myself of that in the future. It is. It is hard to or overwhelmed or obsessive about someone. You do have to let things go. And for me, I give it to God. And when I do that, I feel like this weight is lifted and it's more freeing and I can it doesn't distract me anymore as much as it used to. And you can give that energy to someone else too. So you're not just giving it your energy to your ex who, was an alcoholic, but you can give it that energy to someone else, to find
I love
someone
it.
else.
Actually, one other thing I had in Al-Anon, which maybe I should bring back, is my God box. So the
What
God
is
box,
that?
like, you would just write down the thing that's worrying you and then just put it in the box, give it over to God. But people
Oh, I
would say,
like
like,
that.
every single thing they put in the box got resolved. Like, they looked at
No
the box
way.
and like, wow. Yeah,
I
so it's like,
love
"Oh,
that.
I'm messing out this guy. I think I'm gonna give that to God." Like,
Yeah. Put all these guys.
did I
Yeah.
say the
All these
right
really cool
thing?
guys.
Give it to God. Should I be in a relationship or single? Let's let God decide.
think I'm gonna start doing that.
Never mind, we can both do it together in solidarity.
Yes, yes, such a good idea.
So, marriage has changed a lot with the women's movement. I mean, you like are a case in point of an extremely successful woman who's crushing it in her business. I've also always supported myself. I was raised by a single mom who supported herself. It used to be it's like pretty obvious. If you don't find someone in college, you're screwed financially. And I think that some of that still comes up in that fear of dating, like some of the remnants of that memory for women, even if they're financially solvent, like, oh my gosh, if this guy dumps me, I'm going to starve, right? So I'm wondering, what is the role of marriage in this new world where women are financially independent? What purpose does it serve?
Yeah, I think it's more about companionship than
Mm.
anything anymore, and my pastor actually said something like this one Sunday. The sermon was about finding your right person. It was so good. I took so many notes, but it was you need to find someone who is on the same path with you that is helping you to like build your like God given purpose. So if someone is hindering you from that, you shouldn't be with them. But, you should be on a path with someone that you're building something together, something amazing and exciting. And so it's more about companionship, I think, and building than it is about money, finances. Because I've had those same limiting beliefs like, what am I going to do? How am I going to do this on my own? Those have crossed my mind before. And we don't, and I think you have to, today's marriage, it has to be an equal partnership where the man is okay with a woman's financial success and he wants to help her build her passion and her purpose. And if someone who doesn't want to do that, he should just be cut off. But yeah, and just like enjoying life together, going on trips or doing your hobbies, having that companion is always a nice thing to have in life.
It's so true. So, okay. So I just turned 40.
I'm 45 too. You look
Gosh,
young.
wow.
I
You're
would never guess
young.
that.
Yeah, wow, that's nice. And thank you. And I, I feel good. I'm happy. I'm happy to be 45. And at the same time, I realized, wow, 20 years ago, I decided to get serious about dating and meet someone. And I really wanted to get married and have children, like so much. And now it's like I don't even dare hope for that because I worry about my body's capabilities. But,
Oh, it can do it. Look, this little guy right here. I just had him when I was 44.
I love it. I love it. So, okay. So I think this does come back to God and to prayer, but
Mhm.
I've been praying. My aunt has been, her prayer circle's been praying. I've, touched into all kinds of Eastern philosophies and
Mhm.
psychotherapy. And it's really hard to hope for something when you've tried so much and nothing has worked. And you just wonder, like, is something so wrong with my mindset? And I've like tried to change my mindset. And so it's like, what else is there to try? And then people are telling you should give up, but, like, I know myself, giving up means, like, pretending I don't care. It's not the kind of giving up that gets you something, and so my friend is a neuroscientist, and he was saying that, like, hope is actually, like, a really important part of manifesting. He's studying the neuroscience of manifestation,
That's
and I
awesome.
realized, like,
Amazing.
there's this big part of me that's just like, how can I when there's so many things in my life show me hope is not possible, and even, like, so many amazing people like you are like, "You're gonna meet someone, it's so clear knowing you," and I think you'd be honest when you should just give up, like, you're meant to
No,
be
she's not
single,
gonna.
like,
No.
I mean, how can someone like me who feels like, "I really have tried it all, I'm tired of investing energy in this thing that never changes," like, how can someone like me make a profound shift at this stage of my life?
Yeah. Can I ask you a few questions to kind of see where
Anything you
you're
want.
okay.
Thank you,
Okay.
Amanda.
So tell me what are you doing right now to meet people? What is your
Yeah,
process?
so I've been on the dating apps and
Okay.
I decided to take a little pause from them because I've been on so many online dates and I decided to try something new, which was to build consistent community. So what I
Hmm.
did is I started this networking group for entrepreneurs and we've been meeting once a week and I've made like incredible new friends through this process. And I've signed up for like 20 different online dating databases, but it was I did start getting a few matches in San Francisco, but then I started to feel like I wanted to focus on in person, like instead of having this like massive international reach. And so the main thing I'm doing is kind of networking. But then this week, I think like a few days ago, my nervous system just hit like maximum overload. And so I decided, my mom came to visit and I decided to just like take week off.
Yeah, needed. We need those
Yeah.
things.
I've also done like a whole like Facebook post and everything. So
Okay. So I think you're on the right path for sure.
thank
What
you.
I would do is get really clear about what you're looking for in your partner and write
Yeah.
that out. Like where and then think about and I want not the superficial things. I mean, you can, put some like handsome things like that in there, but like what does he do with his weekend? Where is he hanging out at? And really think about that. Okay, is he at the bar? No. Is he at this type of charity function, like for animal rescues or whatever it may be? And then start putting yourself in those places. So when I go out and recruit for certain clients, I think about like where their perfect partner might be at a children's fundraiser or an animal fundraiser. And I put myself in those places. Or
Mm,
he's not going to be at the bar, but he might be at this high end restaurant, having dinner or having a cocktail or like hotel lobbies, like high end hotel lobbies. Those are great places to meet people, especially since you're such a traveler. I think those are like
I love
perfect
hotel
places.
lobbies. I feel like
Yeah,
you and I
hotel
would
lobbies.
kindred spirits, like nothing like a
Yeah.
five-star hotel lobby.
Yeah. Forever in the same country or same area, we'll have to go. But yeah, so just think about where he is walking. Where is he going? What is he doing? What is he involved in? And put yourself in those places like business conferences. I love that you started your own networking group and ask those guys, like, you have, or bring a friend. Next week, I want you all to bring a friend that, so or ask them like, "Hey, do you know any great single guys?" It comes natural for me just to ask people, "Do you know any great single people?" But I think singles have to do that too. Like, be your own recruiter, your own matchmaker. I think you're on the right track. Maybe the not don't spend so much energy online dating, but instead putting yourself in like a new place every single week, a new event, a new like networking group, something to meet new people.
Love that. I love that because I think, I've done this exercise of like writing out my ideal partner
Yeah.
so many times, and I'm like, I don't know what he is or what he's doing, like how could I describe that? But I kind of like the idea of just we can be like, I wonder where he is today. And I could totally
Yeah.
imagine him being like, oh, he's playing tennis right now. And then
There
like
you
I
go.
don't play tennis, but I could go hang out near the tennis court or oh, like he's working out or something like that. For sure. For sure. I love that. Yeah. What are some other ways to get clear on kind of who your ideal partner is? Because it's weird to like, oh, I want this, but it just feels kind of formless in a way. I mean, some things are obvious, but.
Yeah. I think that's something to get clear on. You really have to ask yourself like the hard questions, like what did not work with my past relationship or the past dates I went on? What did work? And then also just to get quiet. It's so hard sometimes just to get quiet within ourselves and pray about it, meditate on it and really dig deep into who that person is, like what qualities. Let me back up. Something I like to ask my clients. I like them to go through like different questions. Like, what are your five top emotional needs? What are your five top spiritual needs? Your five top physical needs, the financial needs, and go through those categories, and you can start to identify who you need in your life. That's just not going to fill a space for a little bit of time. But we all have specific needs that we need to like function and flourish, and that person needs to align with those things.
Yeah, that gives me a lot of really good things to think about. And again, I think sometimes I can put so much pressure on myself, like, oh my God, it's not perfect. I didn't describe him
Mm,
perfectly. But I think that you can kind of just like, I can pray about that. I can say, like, please give me clarity on,
mhm.
what kind of man will be right for me so I know where to move myself to connect with him.
Yeah, that's perfect. I love that.
when you are kind of like in a new relationship, do you feel like I think there's this kind of idea like women need to be chased, but I think
Mhm.
or like if the guy is really into you, it's going to be obvious because he's going to just like take care of everything happening. Do you think that women need to be a little bit more proactive in, moving things along or what's your thought on that whole side of things?
I think that men definitely like the pursuit and they should pursue you. I think women work too hard sometimes to get the man, and it shouldn't be that way. Like we shouldn't chase him. He should show up for us. And we will know when someone's interested in you, you will know. There won't be questions, there will not be confusion. Like he will show up. So I think
Yeah.
we need to just like lean back and let him pursue us instead of doing because here's what I found, like, when women pursue too hard or when women do most of the work, it shows he's not a leader. I think it's important that the man does pursue and that because I think women try too hard sometimes, and if we try too hard, the man isn't usually a natural leader. He wants to lead, a woman, and I think that we need to let him do that to see if he does it. And if he doesn't pursue us, then he's not that into us. And that's okay. I know that's sometimes hard to set with, and we want to keep, reaching out to him or making it work and doing all the work. But if he can't make it work and communicate and pursue when you're dating, then think about what your future is going to be like with him. Like he will not lead. He will not communicate. He will not pursue you 10 years, 20 years from now. So I love like my stepdad. He pursued my mom. I remember him always bringing her flowers, always like buying her things, doing things for her. And she passed away a few years ago. But I just remember how he continued to pursue her over the 20 something years they were together. And I remember I had an ex that told me like he didn't like to buy flowers because it reminded him of funerals, or he didn't see himself as a leader for a family and things like that. I'm like, oh, in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, he'll change. You think they'll change, but they don't. Like they are who they are at the time you date them. So make sure he's doing the job of pursuing you to make sure that continues. You want to be happy. You want to be flourishing years from now, not just trying to change someone or make it work.
Amazing. Amanda, this has been such an incredible connection.
Yeah.
People are interested in matchmaking, you can go to prestigeconnections.us, and I think you can also join the database if maybe you're not ready to sign up for matchmaking, but I feel like, you speak for your everything you say speaks for itself. You just seem like such a wonderful human being with so much clarity
Thank
about
you.
what it means to find a loving life partner. Is there anything we left out that you wanna leave with people before we sign off today?
No, I don't think so. I love this conversation. Thank you so much for having me. It was a
It's
lot
been
of
a
fun.
pleasure. Thank you so much.